And I asked how they prayed. They prayed as Muslims always do, by prostration. In that sense, prayer was as there'd be no cultural break. They were maintaining normal pattern of worship. And somebody stopped me, what about the Qibla? Which way do these people pray? I've told you, may remember, in the Quran, the direction of prayer is changed from towards Jerusalem, which is what Jews always did, towards Mecca. They still pray towards Mecca. And the answer was that they prayed in a circle, because Christ is in the midst of those who meet in his name. It struck me that some considerable theologizing had been going on there. And I pray and want to pray for more of that sort of treatment. Now, this doesn't fit in terribly well with our ideas of the Nicene or Constantinopolitan Creed as the test of what a Christian body is. I was quite sure that God was dealing with that community, that Christ was real in that community, and that we should pray for more of those. I don't think that at all alters the fact that God deals in other ways also with people. Nor does it avoid the fact that Christian churches have to relate in some way with Muslim communities. And you're from Ekwa. Where are you from in Nigeria?
From the northern part of Nigeria.
Yes, from
Kano.
From Kano. There you are. You're right in the middle of it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. These tragic confrontations that come, and the centre of Kano, centre of Kaduna, Jos is another story.
Experience for Kano.
Yes. Yes. Yes, where none of this has much reality.
Yeah.
Each situation is different.
Yeah.
And you're making your own situations and sort of work that you're doing. That's good. Should we move on?
Yes.
I haven't been looking at the clock. You keep me round if I forget it. Yesterday we were thinking of the division of humanity, first in a Jewish setting, where the division is between the nation of Israel and the nations. And we looked at the beginning of our work yesterday at the faith of Christ for the nation, what it meant for Israelites who had been looking for the Messiah to realize that the Messiah had come. And then we saw how the faith moved from the nation to the nations with the crossing of that first cultural frontier into the Hellenistic Greco-Roman world. And how, as the Christian faith moved into the Hellenistic Roman world, it begins to take a rather different shape. The emphases are different. There are new preoccupations. There's even a different vocabulary. Christ is seen in different ways. I suspect we all, what's the word I've just used? Christ. Greek translation of the word Messiah. But used, as I suspect we mostly do, as a name. The way we think of the divine human through whom we are saved. And I was suggesting yesterday that Gentiles who came to know Jesus as Lord first recognize him as Christ, the Lord Jesus Christ, but the determining word is Lord. Whereas for Jews, the determining word is Messiah. And I suspect that Messiah will always mean for Jewish believers something that it doesn't for those of us who are not. This is again part of this indigenizing principle, if that's the name for it, that we were talking about earlier. Conversion, we suggested yesterday, means turning what is already there towards Christ. So in different places, Christianity will look different if it really is the turning of what is already there. It will look different according to what is being turned towards Christ. A Muslim turning towards Jesus as the anointed Messiah of Allah will still have a Muslim shape. You never lose your past. Yet, the important thing was that those two should hold together in a single church with different styles of Christian living. We saw the importance of that New Testament norm of the church being bicultural. The pattern for the future. The new song being sung by different people, but they remain different people shaped by their past. This frontier into the Hellenistic world leads to this other division of humanity between Greek and barbarian, between people who share in the globalizing culture and the people who don't. The people who partake in a particular civilization and the people who are outside it. And yesterday we looked in the later part of our time together at how Greeks appropriated the gospel through the gateway of a literary culture. A literary culture that at first appeared hostile to Christianity, but became converted, turned towards Christian purposes. We saw how in the figure of Justin this happens. Here is a person who, through the quests of his own tradition, through looking for the highest ideal of his own tradition, the vision of ultimate reality that he's got from Plato, he finds Christ answering the questions that have come out of his own tradition. And this means turning his own literary tradition towards Christ. And one sign of this is the way that Greek Christians take an institution like the philosophical school, and that becomes a prime evangelistic agency. You're getting a redirection of Greek culture. Years ago, the American scholar A.J. Goodspeed wrote a book called Christianity Goes to Press. And this is a feature of the 2nd and 3rd century. Christians take over the book. There's even a technological side to this. If you're looking at the 1st century, there's about equal numbers, I think. I'm out of touch with this in recent years, but when I was working in this field, you could say 1st century you had both scrolls and codex. The codex being the original form of the book with papyrus leaves. And people use both about equally. It's the Christians who pick up the new technology of the codex and who develop it. Because they've got things to write. It's a very, Christianity goes to press, it becomes written. This is part of its acculturation in Greek. This is a literary civilization that thinks in literary terms, that's got a literary history, that produces books. I mentioned yesterday Origen as one of the landmarks in Christian thinking.